Mabuhay and welcome to ASEAN Today. I am Naomi Tiburcio of PTV4 in Manila.
Selamat berjumpa lagi. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta, and this is your monthly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. We begin in Myanmar, where the military junta released 7,000 prisoners to mark the country's 75th anniversary of independence. The amnesty on January 4th comes just days after former civilian leader Suu Kyi was sentenced to another 7 years in prison after being convicted on 5 counts of corruption, raising her overall prison sentence to 33 years. The army took control of Myanmar in a coup in February 2021. 17,000 people have since been arrested in protest against the junta, with 2,700 killed. The UN Security Council demanded an end to the violence in Myanmar, its first resolution pertaining to the country in 74 years.
At least 26 people were killed in a fire that swept through a Cambodian hotel casino on the border with Thailand. Hundreds of people were in the Grand Diamond City building when the fire broke out on December 28. Thai rescue workers said some victims had jumped to their deaths from the burning building in a frantic attempt to escape. An electrical fault is believed to have caused a massive fire that also hurt 60 people. 360 emergency services personnel and 11 fire trucks were sent to the scene of the fire. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping look to resume ties hurt by a territorial fight. Xi met with Marcos on January 4th during the Philippine president's first state visit to Beijing. The two leaders agreed to, quote, appropriately manage differences. They agreed to resume negotiations on oil and gas exploration in the South China Sea, halted last June due to constitutional challenges and issues of sovereignty. Both sides agreed to strengthen cooperation in 4 key areas: agriculture, infrastructure, energy, and culture.
Malaysia's new Prime Minister made his first overseas trip here to Indonesia. Anwar Ibrahim met with Joko Widodo to discuss the impact of the superpower rivalry between the United States and China, among other bilateral and regional issues. Also discussed at the January 9th meeting was the development of Indonesia's new capital city. 9 memorandums of understanding were signed for projects in the fields of electronics, health, waste management, construction, and property.
January was spent in recovery mode after heavy rains and floods devastated parts of the Philippines over the Christmas weekend. The severe weather left at least 50 dead and 28 missing, with nearly 60,000 people forced to stay in evacuation centers. Most of the missing were fishermen who went out to sea despite the bad weather. 19 of the dead were from the southern province of Misamis Occidental, where heavy rains triggered flash floods and landslides. Damage to agriculture and infrastructure was estimated to be worth more than 1.4 billion pesos, or $25 million.
The world's largest trade deal is expected to bring in tangible economic benefits to its partners with lower tariffs and a better business environment. ASEAN Today's Karina Tasha reports on what Southeast Asian countries stand to gain.
The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership took effect on January 1st, 2022, with high hopes and big dreams. The treaty brought together the 10 ASEAN countries with Australia, China, Japan, New Zealand, and South Korea. They represent 30% of the world's population. In the first 10 months of 2022, trade in South Korea, Australia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam all saw a double-digit increase in foreign trade. China, Japan, and New Zealand 7% growth.
Có thể nói rằng với cái việc giảm cái thuế quan, với cái quy tắc xuất xứ được hài hòa trong cái nội khối thì nó sẽ tạo điều kiện cho cái việc thúc đẩy xuất nhập khẩu trong nội khối trở nên nó dễ dàng hơn rất nhiều, và đặc biệt là nó tạo điều kiện cho các doanh nghiệp vừa và nhỏ cũng có thể tham gia vào cái thị trường nội khối.
RCEP members showed great momentum in attracting foreign investments against the context of global economic turbulence. Direct foreign investments flowing to China, Malaysia, and Vietnam saw quick growth.
RCEP 作为目前全球最大的自由贸易区，代表着自由贸易的发展方向，致力于消除贸易投资壁垒，建立统一的市场化的经贸规则体系。各成员国以及主要国际机构的模型测算结果也都表明 ，RCEP 将对区域经济增长产生积极的促进作用。这一点从今年 RCEP 实施以来的贸易投资数据中也得到了部分印证。
RCEP countries differ from one another in terms of regulatory systems and economic potentials, including labor capacity in developing sectors. Economic and technical cooperation will enable treaty members to coordinate policies in line with their respective economic capacities and to build these capacities. In a time of ongoing uncertainty, partners hope the RCEP agreement provides an opportunity to contain potential conflicts and focus instead on elevating the welfare of their citizens. Karina Tasha for ASEAN Today.
More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
ASEAN welcomes a new leader. Kao Kim Hourn has many immediate challenges. He's in the hot seat next. You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Naomi Tiburcio from Manila.
And I'm Raissa Chentami in Jakarta. A senior Cambodian diplomat now leads the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Kao Kim Hourn became the 15th ASEAN Secretary General on January 9th, calling for unity in solving regional challenges. His first words now at the ASEAN Secretariat here in Jakarta.
I'm excited and honored today to take the office of the Secretary General of ASEAN. I look forward to working together closely in order to accelerate the inclusive, resilient, and open ASEAN community that will serve the interests of the ASEAN people.
ASEAN must be at the driving seat in navigating new geopolitical dynamics. At the same time, ASEAN needs to continue to become an epicenter of growth. We know that economic growth has and will always be the story of Southeast Asia. To this end, a stronger ASEAN Secretariat and enhancing the role of Secretary General becomes pivotal. That is why strengthening ASEAN Secretariat becomes an important priority under Indonesian chairmanship. Furthermore, the Secretary General plays a very important role, including by providing independent insights and perspectives to assist leaders' decisions, addressing Myanmar crisis as ASEAN humanitarian assistance coordinator. Indonesia looks forward to ASEAN Secretariat's full support for the success of our chairmanship this year. Ambassadors, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Indonesia stands ready to work closely with the ASEAN Secretariat under Dr. Kao's leadership.
The new leader will serve a 5-year term. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
Welcoming the Year of the Rabbit. How Malaysians celebrated for the first time in 3 years next.
This is ASEAN Today.
And we are coming to you this week from Jakarta and Manila. The Lunar New Year celebration was a grand affair for Chinese and others across the world. For many, it was the first celebration in 3 years following the coronavirus pandemic. ASEAN Today's Aisha Nadira reports on how Malaysians greeted the Year of the Rabbit.
Malaysian Chinese and their non-Chinese friends were thrilled to get together in restaurants and homes to celebrate the Lunar New Year for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic. It was just after the 2020 celebration when Malaysia responded to the outbreak by closing its borders and imposing its first lockdown. In the 2 years since, most traditional family reunion dinners and company luncheons to celebrate the festival were cancelled. This year, downtown Kuala Lumpur was once again bustling with locals and tourists, with families and friends gathering again to eat and enjoy. Oriental Group operates a dozen Chinese restaurants in Malaysia. Chairman Philip Siu said his company took a hard hit from the pandemic. making it a struggle to survive.
We were just reduced to takeaways and in fact closure at one point. That's really down to zero business. In a group of our size, we are talking about $1 million US per month cash burn. That's salaries and wages for 700, 800 staff, rental. We're quite fortunate we survived. Many others couldn't.
In 2022, the government allowed dining in restaurants, but with many people still fearful of the pandemic, most opted not to go out and eat. This year was like the old days again. It's a chance for families to gather and for companies to show their appreciation to their staff with the traditional lohe salad tossing. Diners wish each other good luck as they mix a special dish of fish and vegetables called yusheng, which represents good fortune.
It's been a great relief for us to be able to gather with the family, friends, and colleagues, and I hope we can continue to do this years after years.
Families getting together again, friends getting together again, eating, cheering. It's an unbelievable feeling to have all that back. You can feel in the air the joy, the happiness, the comradeship. That's something priceless.
In the heart of the city, more than 6,000 red lanterns lit up the iconic Tenho Temple, one of the largest in Southeast Asia. Cultural performances were also staged around the temple, adding to the festive atmosphere.
很浓烈的那种中国传统过年的气氛，对于那个传统文化的保留做的都特别好，我觉得这种感受是特别别致的。
Rabbit-themed decoration also adorned Pavilion Plaza, the biggest shopping mall in Kuala Lumpur, where festive music created a most welcome holiday mood. Aisha Nadira for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. The inaugural Amazing Muay Thai Festival will showcase Thailand's national sport in Hua Hin from February 2nd to the 6th. The Irish pop group Westlife will be live on stage on February 9th in Jakarta. And another nostalgia group, the Backstreet Boys, returned to the Philippines on February 20th. The global visitor industry had a mixed reaction to the expected outflow of Chinese travelers after China lifted travel restrictions. But here in Indonesia, business leaders are ready to embrace the returning tourists, as ASEAN Today's Fauzil Azim reports.
In early 2022, Indonesia had the highest daily COVID-19 infections in Asia, but the numbers have since fallen substantially. The government said this is because nearly 25% of Indonesians are fully vaccinated. In late December, all remaining pandemic restrictions were cancelled. Business leaders had been waiting for the all-clear order.
We're looking forward for malls to operate at 100%. The focus is shifting from a health perspective to an economic perspective. There is global uncertainty with energy prices increasing, but with this new rule, we believe the government will help to ease those challenges and kickstart the economy.
President Joko Widodo believes lifting restrictions will help spur the recovery of the economy. Indonesia is expecting to welcome at least 250,000 Chinese tourists this year.
Indonesia and China's relations in tourism is very promising. China makes up the majority of tourists to Indonesia, especially in Bali. With the arrival of Chinese tourists once again, we will see a positive impact in the local economy, as well as the social and cultural sector.
Like everywhere else, reviving the economy has been a top priority here. But health experts say the fight against the virus is far from over.
The government of Indonesia should strengthen their strategy in terms of this risk communication, because without this proper strategy, the awareness among people or community, even among stakeholders, will be very, very loose and also maybe disappear because they feel the situation is already safe and the pandemic is over.
Asia's visitor industry is celebrating China's border reopening. As businesses reopen ties with the region's largest economy. China was the world's largest outbound tourism market before the pandemic, and the absence of its once $255 billion of annual spending since borders were shut 3 years ago meant hardship for many tourism businesses and workers. President Widodo said Indonesia is optimistic for a new normal, one that aims to create a safe and healthy society while boosting business. Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
We like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out there if you can find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you're thinking or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com. Post something on our Facebook page or tweet us at ASEAN Today TV. The king of ASEAN football was crowned this month.
And Thailand claimed the throne once again with its 7th title. The defending champs kept the ASEAN Football Federation Cup with a 1-0 victory over Vietnam on January 16th. Captain Thiratan Bunmatan scored with a stunning 24th minute strike from a distance to give Thailand the win. He was named the tournament's most valuable player. Teammate Therasil Dangda and Nguyen Tien Linh of Vietnam shared the top scorer award with 6 goals apiece. And that's ASEAN Today for this week. Terima kasih. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta.
And I am Naomi Tiburcio of PTV4 in Manila. Maraming salamat po. Thank you for watching. Please join us again next time for ASEAN Today.